Good morning. First we begin a prayer. Om laze namdara jenundu pe taji juju jena shubayi sangi chudangidu. Kuna chase daja tashi sho demme jibe zidend. Shimbe jimbe gada badamba kuna gumbo jena mache lumbo drabazira. Simje tamje la gung tabebe yizam zebazira braba. Sinzam debe tashi pepe devar shuba kiraja. Jambe shuno paldindo jizen chirezi wangumu. Sei nimbo deba nambrze namge nimbo bajong. Ube duji pega lujenda no Buddha water tenimai. Chhoje nam taji pega jo janju sambai kiraja. Rinjin duju taji sirginya dujan boza yung. Nyenda dunda punzo bebe menu geze unirukun. Rinjin daju jige chadenje chudu jiwa chujengaji. Geso ngo timbe pepe tashi lamu kiraja. Somba chimbo dujung semebu migdonda nanjabu yu. Pagi bada luwa mimiza namte zelazu. Tishu ladan hungdo jeze piwa rari jitengadi. Susumna zogale tishi pe jiteng kiwa gila chasa. Daja tingdir chawa sumbala gitanya warsawa kunjini duden pepe samde yishin rup tashi dele pusu. So para shu. Chumnende para gumbo jiteng jabe yana chasalo kangilu rudi mitina yindan tarasabe chinge tugu chinzi. Nige duga libanze gandasebe zorar made mundum dungi. Tozoguna pujik tarze yanadaju yandensung rudra chedo nyomo nilo legeja rodi. Marik muse dungara yungu chingi josera dinam denesajus. Indenuzo geze debegu jidajina chungi nyere dalo muse jampari yanadu. Marabzanade, marabzanade, marabzanade. Marabzanade, 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 marabzanade. Kurgumda de shiji chingi pa ubetena sharabrit. Libanzeme jamia chugi gumbo jambe yana chansa tu konze tabardu bam chunze tibardu. Gumbo jamia dingi kime paryo thamarjo. Konze tabardu bam chunze tibardu na yang gumbo jamia. Kime paryo thamarjo konze tabardu bam chunze tibardu na yang gumbo jamia. Kime paryo thamarjo. So, first of all, we need to correct our motivation. When you hear the Dharma, you should have proper motivation. That is, first of all, hearing the Dharma is to look into yourself, work with your mind, not for the reason you're receiving teaching for fame, or for scholarly, or for some that you can show off someone that you know better. All this motivation, attitude related with pride, aggression, ego should not be there when you receive teaching. Rather, the mind should be completely open. And like when you go to a physician, you go with an open mind and you let the physician do what needed to be done, whether to take a medicine, whether to operate. You trust the physician. Same thing, when you come to receive the Dharma, you should come with a sense of openness, like when you first meet someone, like beginner's mind. There's a saying, beginner's mind, Zen mind, or the first thought, the best thought, which basically implies that you just approach it completely open without any sense of pre-conditioned mind, which is extremely important when you come to hear the Dharma, and with deeper sense of understanding that I come to receive the teaching to work with my afflictive emotion, that which is the cause of suffering of myself and for all being. So hearing the Dharma, I will work with myself and then I can benefit other beings. That motivation called bodhicitta become extremely important from the student point of view, how he or she should approach the Dharma with that sense of openness. At the same time, for the teacher, when a teaching is given, teacher should not have the attitude, I'm giving this for fame, wealth, power, because then again, that gets contaminated with afflictive emotion. That has to be removed in the mind of the teacher also. It has to be given with kindness and compassion and respect, in a sense that other being like oneself, they all want to be out of samsara. And the only way to get out of samsara is through hearing the Dharma. So therefore, he or she, when the teacher gives teaching to someone, a bodhisattva way of giving has tremendous respect for this other person who is receiving the teaching, in this case the student, and not as a sense of like a power figure or like some kind of distance, but rather like a spiritual friend, or rather like someone with respect and caring and love. That motivation is very important for the teacher also when a teaching is given. That being the base of Mahayana approach, in giving teaching and receiving teaching become extremely important and crucial in the Dharma path. That is the main working basis between teacher and student. Without that kind of understanding and motivation, there is no Mahayana relationship. There's no bodhicitta relationship between teacher and the student. Then it becomes like a business-like approach, which is and of course, Dharma is not a business. Dharma is not a business-like, nor there is any business should be involved in the approach of Dharma. Dharma goes much higher level than that materialistic, ordinary understanding and approach in relationship between teacher and student, as well as between Sangha brother and sisters, as well as how we relate to all beings, not seeing like some kind of that ordinary approach of business-like, but rather seeing that from the Vajrayana point of view, that all being has enlightened mind. And it's really a celebration of enlightened mind than rather any other motivation or business approach or anything like that. It's not like that. So even if you may have seen His Holiness Dalai Lama, when he sits on a throne, first he does 3 prostration to the throne, and then he sits on the throne, because that's to reduce the pride. And as a human being, we can say sometimes the pride can always seep into it, including a teacher. So therefore, the Dharma has to strip those before one sits on the throne. So it's a way of expressing, of letting go of that pride before one sits on the throne. So therefore, whether this is teacher's approach or student approach, we all have to come with total, with the absence of arrogance and absence of aggression and absence of pride, so that we all like a fresh mind. In that way, we can all relate to that teaching, and because there's another verse in the Dharma. It says, "Kangsala mitun cholatun." Don't. I don't know the exact English translation, but it says, "Don't lean on the individual, but lean on the Dharma." Chutsigla mitun tuanatun. Don't lean on the Dharma of the words, but lean to the Dharma of the meaning. Don't lean on the meaning of mundane, but lean on the meaning of absolute. And don't lean on the meaning of absolute, not on consciousness, ordinary dualistic mind, but rather on the non-dual wisdom mind. So this is how to approach to Dharma in hearing the Dharma from a teacher. What it actually does, the last word, don't lean on the meaning of consciousness, meaning here duality, but rather on non-duality, shows that ultimately that whole teaching is celebration of that absoluteness of one. There is no gap between, at that level, how can there be a gap if you're leaning to the absolute? Even the very notion of you and me doesn't exist in non-duality. And that since the teaching of the Dharma is Buddha Dharma, the ultimate view and achievement of the Dharma is non-dual state, it has to confirm from the very beginning how finally that state has to be achieved, even while you're receiving the teaching, so that you're not of course we have the Guru Yoga practice, Guru devotion, but it is important to understand that the whole point of Guru devotion is to understand the non-duality. It is not a Guru's trip, it's not an individual's trip, but rather, that's how the teaching, when given from the Bodhisattva point of view, and I'm not claiming I'm an enlightened Bodhisattva, I'm just myself an aspiring person on the path of the Dharma, but generally when the genuine Bodhisattvas give, there is no gap, you see. The teaching is, there is no Guru trip, there is no cult. When you follow if you follow a Guru, and if you don't practice the Dharma, it's very possible at some point you may have some kind of cult-like quality. It is possible. And if that personality of that Guru, if he or she is not enlightened, then he and she, pride and ego, can manifest. And at some point it can be dangerous for that particular Guru to give teaching, and for student also, instead of relating with the Dharma, which actually explained in the Dharma very clearly, as I just mentioned the 4 points, don't lean on the person, don't lean on the individual, lean on the Dharma, don't lean on the Dharma of words, but lean on the Dharma of meaning, don't lean on the Dharma of meaning on the mundane, but lean on the Dharma into absolute. Absolute should be not lean on consciousness, but on wisdom. I mean, how it's leading, you need to understand how that means to you. And then that Dharma of non-duality, there is no separation between Guru and you. There is no such thing as you, there is no such thing as me. That is what non-dual is. That is your Buddha nature. And also when we talk about the Guru, there's outer Guru and inner Guru. And the inner Guru is what you are. The whole point of working with the Guru, teacher, is to let you awaken into your inner Guru. That is the whole point which is leading you. You need to see, if you don't see this clearly, there's always some kind of, then people, the notion of Guru trip, the notion of cult, all this thing appears. So once one's, whether it's an enlightened Guru, of course, no problem. Even it's a not enlightened Guru, but he or she have the genuine compassion and respect and leading them to their state, then there is no danger on the path. But if the Guru, with the pride and with the ego, is very dangerous. Being on a Guru trip can be one of the most dangerous things. If the teacher does not give the teaching correctly, there's no more negative karma than that, because you lead someone on the wrong path. You change their mindset to a destructive course. It is extremely heavy karma. I think it could be one of the heinous kind of negative karma, because you lead them to lower realm in the dungeons of samsara for eons and eons. And the suffering is basically come on one's karmic, in that individual, that particular teacher. Now at the same time, on the student part, the student has to practice the Dharma, otherwise one can never understand. Even you meet an enlightened master, you can never understand enlightened master. All you will feel, of course, the presence of the enlightened master is very powerful, and you can feel joy, happiness. But then if you are far away from that, you kind of like get lost. So therefore, it's important that you need to practice according to the Dharma. It explained how that relative external guru leads you to your absolute guru within your own mind. And that not also based on consciousness of duality, but realization of the non-duality. And of course, guru devotion is extremely important. Once you begin to taste the Dharma, that devotion is not particularly a devotion to others, devotion to the guru. Yes, there is a devotion to the guru. We can say a genuine human being, a better human being, have respect to all human beings. When you say, I want to be a better person, means you are a better person to be with by other human beings in our society. That people can trust you, people can count on you, people feel comfortable to be around you, people feel comfortable to talk to you. That's a better human being. Obviously, the absolute ultimate devotion that awakens in our mind comes from ultimate trust that we gain in ourselves. That ultimate trust we gain in ourselves can only happen with the opening of the basic goodness, the fundamental goodness, the enlightened Buddha nature within us. When we realize that, on the path, through devotion, through compassion, through effort, through that awareness, then when we trust ourselves, we begin to trust that guru. Through that person, I'm free from my afflictive emotion, and you can experience that directly. Then at that point, when you have a fundamental trust in yourself, that is the ultimate devotion. Ultimate devotion can never arise in a person until ultimate trust and confidence is realized within oneself. Rest all other devotions are conditional devotions, based on how much you hear, you're working with yourself, but still it's very much depend on circumstances. They can change. What cannot change, the day when you are one with your basic goodness, with your enlightened awareness, that day you have 100% trust in yourself, absolute confidence in yourself. Then you begin to see the goodness in all beings. There was a story of this Dakini that she used to cry for days and days. And then somebody asked, why you cry for days and days? She said, when I see the suffering of all beings, I can't stop it. And then some days and days she will, laugh and be happy. And then she will say, why you laugh for days and days like this? When I see that everyone has enlightened quality, it makes me feel so happy. So we all have enlightened quality. We all have the Buddha nature, 100% as Shakyamuni Buddha, all the Buddhas of the 3 times. In fact, every being has enlightened nature, without race, sex, no difference. As long as there's a sentient awareness, mind, all have basic goodness. So since that is the case, that being that since fundamental ground, we can say our fundamental ground, our reality is basic goodness. Our reality is all good in a sense. Now when we say all good, like the tantric term samanta bhadra, the word is samanta bhadra, all good. Then we think, how can all be good? Now you need to, it says, the nature of samsara and nature of nirvana is one. And that kind of puzzles us. How can samsara and nirvana be one? Aren't they different? Yes, they are different. Samsara is where one is confused, and nirvana where you are out of that confusion. But what it meant, that the Mahayana approach is to go beyond samsara, from the extreme of samsara and extreme of nirvana. So you really have to kind of, think about, it's definitely talking then very subtle level of realization and subtle level of mind. From the gradual path of Hinayana to Mahayana to Vajrayana, then Mahamudra to Dzogchen, there are so many gradual paths. What finally is leading us, that the true happiness can happen when we are free of all extreme, from all our opinions. And of course, we can all right now, as much as we know this materialistic world or this ordinary world, we can, freedom means from everything. Does freedom means from something and not something? We can simply say freedom means freedom from everything, from all extreme, including spiritual materialism to the point in Dharma. Even if you grasp to something, oh, this is so high, I've got to cling to that, including emptiness. You can never cling to emptiness, because when you try to make up emptiness, that itself is the biggest facade of all time. There's nothing to cling to, because the nature is unborn. If a nature is unborn, the absolute reality, which is termed as unborn, then anything unborn is unstained. Anything which is unborn is unstained from the beginning, neither at the beginning, neither at the middle, neither at the end. If it's never happened, how can it be a guilt? How can it be a problem? Because it never happened. Then, we say, then why is all my confusion, suffering happening? Yes, it is happening, very real, and one would never argue that it's not happening. It has happened. It is happening in your past life, it's happening now, and it's probably going to happen in the future. If you're not careful, it can lead you in samsara for a long time. And of course, those are very real. But at the same time, when you really look, those experiences are relative experience, not on the absolute level. But until we realize that absolute level, that problem is going to exist. So therefore, we need to free ourselves from this relative confusion. I think we need to do more Dharma study and more really understand how the mind functions and how the mind works. Because what it meant, that nothing happened, it never happened, means on the basis of emptiness, nothing has ever happened. You see, if something has happened, then emptiness has been compromised. Emptiness can never be compromised. That's the nature of emptiness. Because it never happened in the first place. That's what the teaching of interdependence is so helpful. Teaching of interdependence shows us that inherent quality, there's no such thing as inherent quality of existence of anything in whatsoever, in any emotions or any thoughts, in any events. Very clearly. Is devoid of any inherent quality, is free of all extreme. Because if it's inherently there is no fixation, how can there be an extreme? It is always like free. So then where did the problem happen? We can say, where, if it's inherently such a state, where did the problem happen? Problem in one way never happened. It seems to happen. And that seemingly situation is, we can say, is pretty, unless you work with that, that is our problem. That is where we are stuck, like our dream. Dream never happened when you wake up. And we all 100% we can agree it never happened. But it was a dream. Lots of things happened when there's nothing happened. Samsara is like that. Lot of things happen when nothing has happened. So many stories, but no stories. No stories, so many stories. So it's like kind of puzzling state. So now, therefore, in the traditional teaching, it explained the removal of two kinds of removal of the Buddha, enlightened Buddha, has to be the two purities. Yes, we can all understand through the teaching of dependent origination, all things in events appears due to interdependence. Interdependence means there is no independent, very clearly. And that is what, when there is nothing independent, that means there is no extreme of any kind. There is no fixation of any kind. There is no duality of any kind in that. In the essence, it's never compromise. Essence, whether you realize or whether you don't realize, that essence is never compromise. That emptiness. But yet, it's not just mere empty, it is interdependent. If it is totally nihilism, interdependent word will never come into existence. If the reality is totally nihilistic, the word interdependence in the Madhyamika teaching, Sutra teaching, will never come into existence. If there's nothing, like a void, space, nothing exists, then there would be no interdependence. The fact that interdependent shows that it is not nothingness because it's interdependent. At the same time, interdependent is completely free of any extreme because its essence is emptiness. Now, enlightened mind means someone who becomes one with that without being trapped in that extreme solidity, or whether you call word solidity, or whether it's extreme, or whether it's fixation, or any kind whatsoever. Being caught up in that is the defilement, is the obscuration, is the neurosis, is the afflictive emotion, is the ignorant. It is denzin. The word, one Tibetan word is denzin, means to see as real which is not real. That is the main ignorance through the phenomena of interdependence. We couldn't just let it be the way it is, but we try to concoct, we try to make changes, we try to make up to that interdependence, where we get fixated, we bring solidification, then everything starts on the wrong way. To the point, spiritual materialism. It can go all the way to spiritual materialism, where we begin to see things as something we get attached to, because our bringing part of our ordinary attachment into that level of our, we can say, our divine or very deeper nature of our mind, because of our habits, we bring along to our Dharma practice. So therefore, all Dharma practice, if you look at the Hinayana level, selflessness. Mahayana level, the two kinds of emptiness. Individual selflessness and the general phenomena emptiness. And then if you look at the tantric teachings, all the colors and mandalas of the five Buddha family and all the different character, peaceful, increasing, magnetizing, cutting through, all those different aspects, again, we solidify our old habits we bring into it. Therefore, it is so important, the tantric practice, no matter how beautiful mandala, where you have been work for days and days, and you practice for months and years, at the end you dissolve it, you let go, because there should be no fixation. Any kind of fixation can lead to samsara. It is samsara. It can lead to suffering. It can lead to confusion. It is timuk denzin, means the ignorance which sees something real, which believes everything is real. That goes all the way to Dharma practice. In this case, like how they let go. Either you wipe up the mandala or either you let go. It is so important at the end. Same thing including our merit. We let go. And when we let go, it doesn't mean that it dissolves into a vacuum, but it becomes part of that magical interdependence, that which benefits all being. And since your mind is going with that interdependence in a way, because as long as you have some reference and belief in your self-identity, you are going along with that. But it's not fixated in reality, it's the interdependent. Because it's interdependent, your thoughts are constantly changing. Your emotions are changing. It can never get fixed, you see? The fact your mind is changing moment to moment, the fact your emotions are changing moment to moment, it shows that inherently there is no fixation. Inherently there is no extreme. If your emotion never changes, remains same one all the time, then there is no interdependence. The teaching of interdependence has no relevance. Teaching of emptiness is no relevant. We better just leave it, drop it. Then let's just go with independent state. That is not the case. Your thoughts are changing moment to moment. Your emotions are changing to moment. It shows that there is no, that inherent basic goodness can never be compromised, no matter how neurotic you can think in a way. Of course, until you purify the neurosis, that consequence of the neurosis can bring you suffering. But in essence, that basic goodness can never be compromised, can never be affected, because it's always remain its nature. Why? Your thoughts, emotions, they comes and plays and dance, but it just move forward. It's like a sky. Cloud can come with all kinds of formation, black clouds, thin clouds, white clouds, of all types of clouds, frightening looking clouds, beautiful clouds, but it can never stick in the sky. No matter what it comes, finally it's dissolved. It's come from this space and dissolved into the space. Same thing, all our thoughts, no matter how they comes, those thoughts cannot stick to that essence, to that awareness, but rather it comes with that play, and it comes from the space and dissolves into space. That shows, because our essence is so completely open and free from all structures and all fixation, our deep yearning, human beings and animals, all alike with a sentient awareness, they all want to be free all the time. We all strive for freedom. This country, of all the different countries in the world, is one of the greatest countries having human rights, given all kinds of rights, feminist rights, that right, bring equality, respect, religious freedom. We all seek freedom all the time. Why do we seek freedom all the time? Because it's our inherent quality, that basic goodness. But somehow we want to be free, but we get stuck. We get fixated to everything. And we can see and where that leads to on the long run is detrimental. It creates all kinds of strange phenomena. Phenomena of animals realm, phenomena of hell realm, phenomena of human realm, phenomena of demigods, phenomena of all kinds of spirit world, all are due to mind projection, confused projection. So when those phenomena be created, then the effect of that consequence whatever is related with that particular karma we experience, where there's tremendous suffering of all kind. Now you can see why it is so important for us to do meditation. Only meditation can lead us to be free from that. Only meditation can lead us to be free of extreme. And of course, same thing when the Dzogchen teaching Chhoje Rinpoche gave, he said, in that essence, in that view, there's refuge, there is bodhicitta, there is everything. And once you realize that view, it leads you to your basic goodness. If I use one word, basic goodness. Basic goodness is inclusive of everything. Basic goodness doesn't mean goodness for something and not goodness for something. It is that basic inherent quality in us to realize. And your whole Dharma practice, whether you do Mundra practice, whether you do prostration, whether you do fire puja, whether you go to work in a kitchen, Salvation Army, or whatever your good works, charity, it all leads you to, so how you can get out of that fixation, the wrong notion, a nature of interdependent, which is the illusory dance of compassion. You have made the dance into deadly state. Obviously, we experience suffering. There's no sense of humor. There's no openness. There is no respect. Everything is harsh, judgmental, sharp edges in that world, samsaric world. Therefore, it's a terrible place. We need to get out of that place. Our nature is that fundamental goodness is like a water. Water is flowing, liquid. If you drink, is quench your thirst, cooling, all the positive qualities. But then when you put the water into a fridge, into a freezer, that wonderful cooling water become like a sharp edge, so sharp. That's our confused mind. If I use the metaphor of a confused mind, it's become like an ice, which is so sharp, it can cut through, it can bleed you, and it can make you infected, and it can give you a lot of problems. It can kill you. That's how, when the mind going the wrong way, mind not seeing its primal goodness, that's what the mind is like that. It's habit. It's nothing more than a mind's habit and mind's ignorant. So therefore, I heard my teacher, his son is Chhoje Rinpoche. He has 2 daughters. And then he told his daughters, they don't do, they are a wonderful lady, but that, it's quite a beautiful scene. I know them so well, how his soul is related with them. But they were not particularly practitioner before, but now I see, his soul is blessing to them. They were really great ladies. But his soul has told them, it's better to have less concept, because he meant less fixation. This is a great Dzogchen master. When people have too many concepts and too much judgment, it's not good for you. Then it makes you suffer. It gives you a lot of pain. The less concept means try not to get fixated. Doesn't mean you shouldn't think, but don't get fixated. That's the deeper meaning of the Dzogchen master. And fixation leads to extreme, and extreme leads to simple neurosis. That's where neurosis is. The essence of the neurosis or the neurosis are the same. The essence of the neurosis is wisdom, but not the neurosis itself. We're not saying the neurosis is a wisdom, but the essence of neurosis is wisdom. Like this, once you melt that ice, the sharp ice, which can kill you, which you can cut through, you can bang ice on your head and it can kill you. But you pour the water on your head, it will give you coolness. It's the same thing. That essence is not separate. You don't have to look for a wisdom outside of neurosis. That's really the special thing of Buddha Dharma. Many other teachings didn't really understood where the where the heaven or many different description of heaven in the Hindu tradition, different tradition, what is the cause of that? Where to look for that? You don't have to look outside of your neurosis. The very essence of that, that emptiness, when you realize that is the liberation that contains in that neurosis. So nothing is thrown away. In the tantric practice, it says, no passion, no wisdom. What it meant, the essence of that passion is wisdom. But it's not saying the passion, raw passion itself is not the wisdom. It's not saying that, just go, if passion itself becomes wisdom, then there is no need to abandon passion on the Hinayana level, Mahayana level, try to extract some. On the Vajrayana level, you don't even abandon. It's just like the remaining in the essence itself, that takes care of everything. You don't have to bring particular antidote. Itself is the antidote. Like if ones get bitten, I use this example, if ones get bitten by a cobra, you don't look outside of cobra to cure. It is within the cobra's venom, the cure. It's the venom itself when it's extracted. That is the very cure for that deadly situation to get out. It contains within it. Same thing, each passion contains the wisdom, which makes the 5 wisdom. The mirror-like wisdom, all-pervading wisdom, all the wisdom contains in the 5 passion itself. That is why, without that, if we have to seek wisdom somewhere outside, that we don't have wisdom, only Padmasambhava has, only Buddhas have, Jesus have, while we are like a rotten tomato, then this is not possible. Rotten tomato can never, become good tomatoes. We have, this amazing quality in us. And that's what Buddha Dharma is all about, to realize that and how to practice that. So therefore, compassion, meditation, diligence becomes so important. Without those 3, you cannot achieve anything on the path of Dharma. So you need to understand those basic principles. So I am, today I'm giving the Riwo Sang Chod transmission, but I got a little carried away. I thought to once again make clear about what is Guru, what is your awareness, what is the Dharma, how we should bring that awareness, which is day to day, we can always be in their presence. Those are very, very important. Now, as far as fire practice is concerned, this is a secondary practice. Primary practice is the realization of enlightened mind. Secondary practice is the support to our physical well-being and our spiritual well-being and all the other rest, whatever you aspire, how to bring that right condition, how to bring things, works in your favor, overcome obstacles which are unfavorable. Those methods are called skillful mean, compassionate skillful mean. That is what the practice of Riwo Sang Chod is about. So in relationship to the Riwo Sang Chod, this is Padmasambhava's revelation teaching. And as you know, Padmasambhava, who brought the Dharma to Tibet, and if it's not for Padmasambhava establishing the Dharma in Tibet, I wouldn't be sitting here, you wouldn't be hearing the Dharma today. It's all with Padmasambhava's coming and taming the land of Tibet, which was basically a cult, follower of cult, shamanistic, believing in killing, drinking blood, offering bloods of all kinds, sacrificial. That's how the land of Tibet was like that before Padmasambhava came. It was basically, there were main ritualistic was sacrificial, dedicating animals for the well-being of people by taking their lives. And let me tell you, when somebody takes your life, nobody enjoy that. Really, if we have to cut our little finger, how much pain there's going to be. Let's not talk about taking a life. That, and not just one life, hundreds of lives get slaughtered. To this very day, today in India, there are places, and also in Arab countries, on holy days, they sacrifice animals for the well-being of themselves and well-being or whatever. But that's not according to Buddhist teaching. That kind of practice doesn't bring happiness by taking life and make someone suffer, but rather the opposite of that, by saving life, by protecting life. That's the main Buddhist practice, which is deeply rooted in the view of interdependence, cause and effect. Those are based, Buddhist views are based on interdependent cause and effect. Chopa tsewa meba, the Tibetan word, chopa tsewa meba. Tawa tenjung chopa tsewa meba. The view is interdependent, the action is non-violence. When you truly understand the interdependent nature, how things work, then naturally it leads you to the action which is non-violence. To have a view of interdependence and the leading to the action of violence is totally not in conformity. It doesn't, the logic doesn't fit there. It's like a big man trying to wear a 5-year-old glove, which will never fit. That logic, it doesn't conforms with the view of interdependent. The view of interdependent, it clearly shows for the happiness we cannot gain happiness by taking blood and by letting someone else suffer. So therefore, the view is interdependent, the action leads to non-violence. And then the view and the actions have conformity. That is very important. We always have to use our intelligence, otherwise things will go wrong way. So then once you're clear, then it makes all the more sense why you need to progress on that particular view, confirm with the action which is non-violence, because then that can lead you to liberation, finally, happiness. Not, the wrong view is doing a harmful action and then expecting some reward of happiness or heaven of some kind. That is totally opposite of that nature. It doesn't conform with that view and its action. So, therefore, when Padmasambhava came, before it was the land of the shamans, Bumpos, Tibetan called Bumpos, and the main practice was sacrificial, and of course many other things. So when the king of Tibet, Trisong Devsen in 8th century, first he invited Shantarakshita, the great abbot of Nalanda, one of the greatest scholars. And when Shantarakshita came, he was a bodhisattva. He gave the teaching on compassion, teaching on interdependence, and of course that was very profound. There were a lot of people, the king himself become disciple and so much devoted to the Buddhist teaching. But nevertheless, there were ministers and people in general, Bumpos, those whose minds are in the very strong habituated in extreme views of fixation and the belief of sacrifice, which has been passed along from generations to generation. So for them, they want to continue the practice. So when there came a time when the king has to deal with two kinds of situation, one with Buddhist view and one the other view, the Bumpos were performing rituals of sacrifice for the health and longevity of the king, while the Buddhists were doing the opposite of saving. And so the king felt totally divided, split into two. How do I deal with this? The Buddhist on one side is non-violent, and the Bumpus on the other side is sacrifice and blood offering is the main practice. The king didn't know how to deal with that. At the same time, the spirit of Tibet, who are all related with the bones because they were taking the blood offering. So they were siding on the shamans, Bumpo tradition. Then the king didn't know how to do. Shantirakshita, though he was a great Pandita, but Shantirakshita told that in order to tame the spirit of Tibet, which was so wild, he needed to invite Padmasambhava. And to make the long story short, Padmasambhava came to Tibet. He subdued all the powerful spirit of the land. And one of the great places today, if you go, is in Bhutan, a place called Tiger Cave in Taksang. It's an extraordinary place. Unless you go there and experience yourself, it's hard to tell by words what power lies in those places. Not just Taksang, in Tibet, in Nepal, in so many places Padmasambhava went, he left his mark. To this day, when people do retreat on those days, in those caves and places, you can gain spiritual power, realization. Amazing thing happens. It has been continuing from the 8th century to this very day. And the Padmasambhava brought the teaching of the Mahasandhi, the great Dzogchen. To this day, people who are achieving rainbow body. The last one I remember was in 1990s. One Lama who was student of Chhoje Rinpoche, my teacher. That Lama in central Tibet, when he passed away, his body totally dissolved into light. And then where is lesser realization and higher realization? To this very day, marked, and people can see it happening continuously. At the same time, great spiritual teachers, who are like, I wouldn't say descendant, but who are followers of Padmasambhava, great masters to this very day. One is Chhoje Rinpoche, for example. And when we sit in their presence, we can experience that amazing, some kind of magical taking place, opening. It changes your mind, let you see your goodness, let you see there is a world beyond materialistic world. There is a world that we only know our ordinary world, but there is something very real, unspeakable, hard to describe, but yet you can taste it like a dumb person tastes the sugar. Some extraordinary experience. And when you do it through your meditation practice, you can also get a glimpse of that. That is a possibility. I can do it. You gain that confidence. And those are the marks left by Padmasambhava. To the point, like so many for the future generation, Padmasambhava left so many different teachings in the hearts of the Tertuns, Dhaka, Dakinis, all kinds. He left in earth, he left in the space, he left in the minds of the Tertun revealers, Therma means treasure revealers, and at the right time, right moment, then those teachings, right time and right moment, those teachings are revealed for the benefit of future generation. Because Padmasambhava also saw that in future, many so-called teachers who are not really ready to be teacher, but then becoming teachers, they will concoct the true Buddha's teaching, and that can be very dangerous. So therefore, he bought Therma, treasure revealing, according to those specific times. Because if something has been altered, then that altered is no longer good. That teaching is no longer good. Its teaching, blessing gets waned away, and that has become very dangerous for someone who truly seeks the spiritual path. Then a new level of Dharma reveal according to those times. And many of those, in fact, is surprisingly all described by Padmasambhavas. life history. At this time, this Tertun will come. It's amazing. In this century, this will come. That century, that will come. In the name of this. And he or she will reveal this teaching. All are recorded by Padmasambhava in 8th century. What has happened almost to my teacher, Chhoje Rinpoche, that Chhoje Rinpoche was also in the Padmasambhava prophecy that he will be born in the land of sacred land of Dorje Pagmo, Vajrayogini, which is in Pemako, and all these things are prophesied. At what time, who will come, name of that, like that. It's quite amazing. And to the point when there's a strong sectarianism problem happened in Tibet in the late 50s, and today we are seeing some of that problem. Today there are people who are anti-Dalai Lama. And here, this great being who tried to bring harmony in the world, really, tried to bring every society together, whether it's Hindus, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, atheists, everyone to bring together so we can make a better world. But there are people who accuse him of liars and all kinds of things. Some of the Chinese government official, perhaps they have to say it, even they probably didn't meant it, saying, oh, he's a demon with a horn and all kinds of things. So you see, those kind of things, those things, because of those sensing the danger, and Padmasambhava has a very particular connection with the land of Tibet, how he preserved the Dharma, how he protected the land through all his power. I tell you, during Second World War, my calligraphy teacher told me personally, he heard there is a so-called Second World War going in Tibet. People don't know there's Second World War going on. Most of the world was confronted with that problem, Second World War. In Tibet, they did nothing like nothing was happening. And right next to Tibet, there was Second World War problem happening. China, Japan, there is in Burma, all around that situation was going on. But in Tibet, it's like it was sealed. It was like protected. That people didn't know. My calligraphy teacher told me, yeah, they heard there is something so-called Second World War going on. Now that they have the newspaper, and maybe very few people have radio also, so like nothing ever happening. I really think all those were really the blessing of Padmasambhava, how he blessed that country, and how he really brought tremendous spiritual legacy, and to this day, you can experience, if you go to travel there, you can see, if you do like a retreat in the place of Padmasambhava for a week or so, something which would take many years, just doing for 1 month, would be almost equal. He left that mark. There's a saying, ordinary people get blessed by a sacred place, but sacred being can bless a place. The reason we do pilgrims to go there and feel the energy. I mean, if we do something illegal, we go to prison to feel the energy of the prison. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's what it's supposed to mean. Same thing when you go to a spiritual place of where the enlightened beings have done practice. They have blessed that place so that people receive blessing from that place. So that's how Tibet and Bhutan and Nepal, which was Padmasambhava, really blessed place, have tremendous spiritual power. And there is a stupa of Bodhanath. If you ever go to Nepal, there's a place called Bodha, with this big stupa. It's something extraordinary. That was built long before 8th century. And when people get there, no matter what background people have, let it be Jewish, let it be Christian, let it be Hindus, Muslim, whoever, everybody feels like peace. Just like I was one day walking around the stupa and I met a couple of European, tourists, and I can tell they're not Dharma practitioner of any kind. Every day, all tourists, buses come there to see. That's one of the main thing in Nepal to look. It's a huge stupa. And I asked them, what do you feel? And they say, oh, I feel very happy. That's it. You just go there. There's no word. You just feel the presence of the enlightened mind. Stupa represents the enlightened mind. When there's an enlightened mind fully blessed into it, people can feel that. Just being around the stupa. People just want to be around the stupa. You don't meditate, you do nothing. You're just like in a awareness so big and happy and joy. For everyone. Last time I was, one day, I think 2 years ago something, I was going around the stupa, and there were a couple of young Chinese tourists. And there was this girl, and there I was drinking a tea, and right next to stupa, and there were a couple of round chairs, and she sat next to me. I said, what do you feel here? I feel very free and very happy. She's not a practitioner, I can tell. Just that, she just feels happy. I said, that's good. You should make good wishes here. I said, that's good, She said, yeah, I like to do. I feel here. So, each person going there have their own different experience, how it opens their spiritual mind, how it's let them see the basic goodness. So, those are all mark of Padmasambhava. Why reason in the old Tibetan tradition now today, there's Nyingma school, Kagyu school, Gelug school, and Sakya school, 4 major schools. Almost the Nyingma and Kagyu in particular start all their practices on all different Nyingma schools and all different Kagyu schools start with the prayer, with the 7-9 prayer. It's all the different termas when it was revealed in different centuries, different time. Like the terma is like an inscripted code. Only that person can read that script. Terto, no one else can read that script. From one little script like that, 300 pages comes out. And it's not just a baloney which comes out. You can read the text. It has got view, meditation, action, healing practice, all kinds of practice in each one of the texts. No human being can make like that kind of practice and mantras in text like that. And each one of them so fresh, like a fresh cooked food has vapors coming out, like the Dakini's freshness, the teaching so preserved. And then when people do their practice, they can achieve those higher level of realization. And such as the trauma practice. One of the highest feminine enlightened Dakini teaching. 13 great students of Dujung Lingpa achieved rainbow body. And countless ordinary men and women, monks and nuns, so many achieve when they die during their lifetime. Amazing being transformed them. To the point I remember there was one man I know, he was a smuggler. During his early life, doing all kinds of shady kind of business. And then later in his life, he gave up everything, and he, in one of the most important things, is to have a genuine teacher. That's one of the main prerequisites of the success of the Dharma. It says, a great teacher and a great student and a great teaching, combining those three, then there's not much doubt to be find liberation. Bad teacher, bad student, and then big problem. So therefore, whether it's great teacher or great student, that depends on how we approach the Dharma. When we approach the Dharma genuinely, then even that teacher can be very simple man and a woman, a monk and a nun, is very great. Because it never says that a powerful teacher, which it says in Tibet, with a higher throne, is better, and someone who sits on a lower throne, just because he or she sits on a lower throne, that doesn't mean he is not capable of teaching. It has nothing to do with that. Earlier explained, don't look at the individual, look at the Dharma, look at the Dharma of meaning, not at the words. Look at the words of absolute, not at the relative. Look at the words of the absolute in the wisdom, not in the absolute of the duality, consciousness. So, all those things. If you think of Chhoje Rinpoche, one who wrote the words of my perfect teacher, many stories are there. He was almost like going like a beggar style. If you look at Milarepa, Milarepa was just really wearing a ragtop clone and just like hardly anything. Totally, if you read his life story, you will find, we think Milarepa must be someone sitting in the sky, or someone on some majestic throne. But Milarepa was just like a simple wandering with this amazing, influence he has on being. And he was outward looking so, I should say, like really with toned down kind of clothes. And one day he was walking and he was near a bridge and there were 3 young ladies on the bridge. And when they saw Milarepa, they said, poor guy, maybe you never become like that. And Milarepa heard that and said, don't worry, you will never become like me. So, you see, appearance, we shouldn't be deceived by appearance. So the point is always to bring the genuine motivation to the Dharma. That is very important. And do the Dharma according to the Dharma. If you don't do Dharma accordingly to the Dharma, in the name of Dharma, you can go down to hell realm. Such as today, how people are, in the name of religion, wars are made. What kind of religion would want war to make and kill people and maim people and rape people? What kind of religion that could be? It's better not to have religion, if that is the religion. I one time said, Elton John music. Imagine there is no world with no imagine there is no religion in the world. It's better. Atheism is so much superior than a religion which proclaims war to kill someone. That's my personal belief. I would rather be an atheist, much better. So those kind of lots of wrong views like that. But atheists have their own problem, lack of understanding of reality, lack of understanding on compassion, because what they believe is the material, what they see in the front. Beyond that, they have no understanding. So, of course, there are a lot of wrong views like that. Now, the point what I'm saying here is Padmasambhava's legacy, his blessing. That's why Chhoje Rinpoche, when he was here, he asked people to really please practice on Padmasambhava practice, 7-9 practice. Those are, you can feel that, you can experience that. Many instances in my own life, I've done a number of retreats, and I think it is the blessing of Padmasambhava. I think I'm nothing great, but just a little bit what I know about Dharma is through the retreats I've done on Padmasambhava. I've done many years of retreat on Padmasambhava. When I recollect, great many masters who came to this country. And let's not judge, people will always have judgment on this way, this style and that style. For example, earlier Trungpa Rinpoche, when Chogyam Trungpa was in England, I think he established the Dharma Center with Akung Rinpoche, and they have some disagreement, and Trungpa Rinpoche left, and he went to Bhutan. He went to Bhutan to the cave of the tigers called Taksang, where I went I think 2 years ago I went and I did a solitary month retreat in the cave of Ishitsogyal, right there. It was extraordinary place. I just felt the whole surrounding cave were filled with thermal. Extraordinary place. The power, Yishitsogil presence, and Padmasambhava's presence. The cave was like, it was a big, there's Taksang itself is like 100 meters. And I was in Yishitsogil's cave, and there was a big rock formation. And the house, the hermit, has an iron roof. And there's a water which Yishitsogil brought. That was my drinking water, which comes from the mountain, and it makes day and night noise on that hitting the roof. It's like 24 hour, 24 it's like a rain falling like in like monsoon time in India, that hitting that metal roof, but you get used to it after some. So amazing, so the cave was there, and then one should do some, for example, if you rent a house, you got to pay monthly rent. If you don't pay monthly rent, you will be in trouble. Same thing, when you go to a sacred place, there's a protector, there's a local spirit. You need to do some, some officiating, some, practice to them. Like usually one puts some beer or Coca-Cola, whatever I get, I even offer them Coca-Cola sometimes, or Fanta or anything, some tea, and then make an offering like thanking them for allowing me to do the praise, because they control that place. And in the history, one of the 25 great disciples of Padmasambhava, his student was Damchen Dorje Lekpa. Dorje Lekpa is one of the main protector of the Dharma, very powerful one. If you go to Nepal, those who do mountaineering, the whole highest ranges of the Himalayan mountains are on one stretch. It's quite amazing, except for K2, which is in Pakistan. Otherwise, all the rest from the Mount Everest, 29,000 feet, whatever, and then it's like 24, 20, 27, 24, all the like that, the highest mountain. And you will enjoy if you go there. There's a mountain flight, which for 1 hour you can go around, and it will show all the highest ranges of the mountain. And there's one, and each one of these peaks have a different name, because they're abodes of the different deities. Mount Everest, Tibetan called Chomo Langma, it is the abode of the protector who is the consort of Milarepa in the teaching. Chomo Langma, Tsiringchang, a 5 sister. So that is her abode, Mount Everest, the sacred place of her. So each mountains in Nepal have each different protector of Padmasambhava, like it is their abode, So, so then Dorje Lekpa came to that place, and is the protector is Dorje Lekpa. So there is a painting of Dorje Lekpa in the room. So I just felt, since the Dorje Lekpa is one of the main protector here, there got to be some kind of natural sign that Dorje Lekpa's. So from my room, which is upstairs with a very steep stairs, very steep stair, and because it's a strict retreat, I can't look through the window. During very strict retreat, the whole point is not to get distracted. So I have to put curtain. I only have a little bit of curtain left like this, so look at the sky sometimes it kind of refreshes. Otherwise you're just like completely covered. And no, I cannot look at the rules of the strict retreat. One is practicing deity, very divine, so therefore cannot be seen to outside cannot be seen inside. No contact like that. Very strict rule, no talking, like 4 sessions a day practice, and like that. But I felt, I got to be some sign of, and then one day, then when I go down the stair to the toilet, down there, first when I step down, there's a straight cave where Yishitsogil said, that was a main where she used, when she came, she was, her cave right there. So then I got to climb in that. It's all in the same kind of, it's a cave like big one, but it's like that. So then when I go down, there's all these rocks, mountains. And then because it's a Taksang, Padmasambhava, one of the most powerful places, Padmasambhava subjugated all the spirit of Tibet and Bhutan in place, there must be a lot of sign. So I was looking carefully in each rock formation, and then one day I look up, there's a natural born Om Ahung. There's so many natural born signs are there. No human being carved it. Natural born, the spiritual quality, blessing, energy of those places. Om Ahung. Then one day I was walking down during my in between period of practice. I was looking carefully, what other signs are there? Dorje Legpa usually wears a hat, rides on a line, and he holds a vajra, on the right. That's how Dorje Legpa's form is that, traditional painting. It's a rightful deity, it's a spirit deity. Then one day, in the rock formation, there appears a clear form of Dorje Legpa, not carved of anything, just with all the rock patterns, but it's clearly with the head, with the eyes, nose, mouth, riding on a line. It was just like, I wouldn't say it revealed. I'm sure some others may have seen, but then I asked the Taksang temple keeper, there was this Buddhist monk, and I said, look, there is, after I finished my retreat, I told him, I saw this. He said, Rinpoche, I have not seen that. But I'm sure some others may have seen that, but it was so clearly there. That whole place was like that. Then on the main rock, main cave, Taksang itself, the face of a line, so 100%, not just you make it up, you have to, when you go down, way down the valley, like about 1,000 feet, the rock is like 1,000 feet. It's like, when you go there, it's scary. You don't want to look down. If you fall down, that's it. There's nothing to hold on to. It's a clear, sheer, vertical rock. And I don't know how that's how Padmasambhava came there, tame all the spirit there. So then, when you look from the bottom of the valley, you look up. The whole rock is the shape of a line. 2 eyes, nose, mouth, and above there, all the trees which grows looks like the hair of that. But clearly the eyes and the nose and mouth, all natural formation on the rock. It's an extraordinary place. So that's where Padmasambhava subjugate all negative forces, and we can see there's external negativity, internal negativity. As far as when we work, do retreat, we try to overcome our internal negative, our aggression, and our ultimate attachment. Ultimate attachment, ultimate anger. The very true source of neurosis, attachment and anger. When we say attachment and anger, we are talking about destruction of the harmful, negative quality of the anger. And when we talk about attachment, we are trying to, cut the very root cause of samsara, which is clinging. Clinging and aggression, which is like partners. Those two are this duality source of samsara. That needs to be transmuted. And once that liberation happens, then you see the Buddha nature. And through the radful practice, radful compassion, Dorje Tolu form, Padmasambhava manifested, and he subjugated these two states. So when we in the Dharma, when we're talking about, of course, Dharma has to say attachment, anger, and ignorance, the three root cause of samsara. It's a general terms. In particular terms, what it really meant that the very root cause of clinging attachment. It's the envy. Envy falls in the category of attachment, desire. Envy means you want to get something which either yours or not yours, which you want to get something of something other to possess, make it yours, mine, clinging. That is envy. That is the ultimate attachment. You see, that is negative. General desire, it's the word desire is used, but general desire is necessary, like, for how to keep your health, for example. If we say all desires are bad, then you, as a human being, you cannot survive. Then probably you say, I don't need to eat any food. If you have no desire of eating food, you will be dead. So you see, you have to work with this body skillfully, how you lead, how to fulfill some of those, even it's illusory, even it's not real, but you need to work with that. You're already in this body, so you got to skillfully work with that and then overcome that. Same thing in the anger. There is anger with frustration. And in fact, in the tantric path, it says how to take the desire on the path and how to take the anger on the path. But it never says how to take the envy on the path and how to take the most harmful effect of the anger is destruction. There is no such practice which says destruction on the path. So we need to separate between anger, frustration, and harmful thing. Harmful is never, in any Dharma practice, never allowed. Whether directly, indirectly. There is no place for anger, the ultimate anger with nusim means the thought of destruction of others. Even according to the tantric practice of rightful practice, where like through rightful compassion, you liberate beings, if you have the power. Of course, if you don't have the power, you can't do anything. But if you do have the power, that is also never directed to a being. If you have a negative view to a being, you lose your bodhicitta. You're no longer Buddhist. If you have a harmful thought, you want to destroy someone, that is not the Dharma. It is never the object of the destruction. Rightful compassion is never directed to the person, but is directed to the action, that negative action, what he or she is involved to destroy that. Not to the person. If the object is the person, then you lost bodhicitta. You're no longer on the path of the Dharma. So we need to see the general terms of what it meant by desire, and particular terms of the desire ultimate, such as the envy, and the general term of frustration. In fact, the anger itself, that you can take that on the path, you can take the desire on the path, but as I say, you can never take destruction on the path, and you can never take that kind of clinging, possessive ego like that. Those are through compassionate view, through the view of emptiness, has to be liberated, but never, when it says liberation, is directed to a being. Then it's no longer Buddha Dharma. Then it becomes some non-Buddhist view. So anyway, so Padmasambhava, establishing in all the different places, and he left them for the future generation the teachings and methods to practice, how they can get benefit. And one of these practices, the Riwo Sang Chod, which is mountain. Riwo means mountain, Sang Chod means mountain purification offering. So what is the benefit of doing this? Let me tell you. The benefit, this is like, the way the practice work, it doesn't work just like we go to a restaurant and then we order food and then we are eating, we know what we're eating. This works on a subtle level. Like all There are so many things in our life which are subtle, day to day. Not everything day to day we work is like obvious material right in front of your eyes. Even you want to achieve some material or your aspiration in your day-to-day life, there are things that you don't see it right away. There are things you don't understand right away. That's where you use your intuitive sense. You use deductive logic day to day. Something you don't understand, but then you presume, if I do this, then this may happen. If I eat this, then this may happen. There are so many things in day-to-day, in your life situation, you have to base on that subtle level. More, not everything is right on the grosser level, but then the subtle level. So the way they practice prayers and our thoughts, and many of these works on this subtle level, which will later bring about the result. So so when you do this practice, sometimes people may see, oh, I don't see this spirit, I don't see, how this smoke can be a food. But it is through the visualization, through the blessing, that first you generate yourself into Avalokeshvara or Padmasambhava as an expression of basic goodness. There are. Then the food is, blessed, and then is dedicated to that illusory being who either is helpful or harmful to you. Now, we can also say, on the absolute level, nothing is happening. It's like our dream. But we are living in a dream world, illusory world. It's called illusory world. So whoever is skillful in relating with the illusion, that skillful means leads you to happiness and lets you not go through suffering of many kinds in life. So therefore, practice a design how to communicate on that subtle level where you have karma, subtle beings who you cannot connect like a person to person on a grosser level, but they do exist and they influence your emotions, your thoughts, your livelihood. So when they are unhappy, then they create your life, all kinds of distress, depression, problems of all kinds, material problem or physical problem. So how to fulfill that gap and how they also get benefit, and then in return they show their kindness to you and you get freed of many of those problems. And this practice, when you do, you will see. I even one time given this practice to one Chinese man, and after a few months, he found a bride also. So these practices are very powerful white magic, so to speak. Magic means illusion. We are magic ourselves to begin with. Don't think that magic is something different. Our whole illusory mind itself is a magic. So how to deal with that kind of phenomena? And this offering, when you do this practice, you can make the offering on the 4 levels. Offering made to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then to the Dharmapalas, then to the beings of the 6 classes, and then finally to the beings of the lowest class, which are spirit, goblins, those who are karmically, connected to you, try to take your life force, creating strange, bad dreams, fear-eating, and then depression of all kinds. So all those can be averted through this practice. And then, of course, if you have in your house, you want to do your blessing to a house, you want to do a healing to a friend or family, you want to do healing for yourself. Whatever you aspire, whether it's for physical well-being, spiritual well-being, wealth, business, purifying the place, all can be done through this practice. It's a very powerful practice. And in fact, if you do every day a little bit, it can increase your longevity of life, your health, well-being, harmony in the family, and a well-being to yourself. It is incredible benefit with a very simple art, simple way of doing rather than elaborate mandalas of all kinds. No need. All you to do, you can light an incense, a particular incense, not any kind of incense. It has to be a Riwo Sang Chod incense, ingredients of that. Now, if you don't want to do that, you want to make elaborate. If you have a country home, not like in the cities, it'll be hard to do, but like in a country home, or you can go in a mountain place where there's no fire danger, then you can buy a little hibachi, and then some charcoal, light the charcoal, few pieces, whatever, and then mixed up with barley, and then, whatever flowers you get, corn flour, barley flour, then cashews, everything should be non-poisonous and no meat and no garlic. It's all white, particularly 3 white and 3 sweets. 3 white is milk, butter, and yogurt. Those are 3 whites. 3 sweets, sugar, brown sugar, they actually is molasses, there's, I don't know here, molasses, there's, in India, they sugar, molasses, and honey. And you don't have to put many, just, according to, you can make up a whole pot. Put all of those things together, and when you should wash your hand. It should be not leftover. You should buy totally new, and then you put that in a clean pot, and then mix it up with all of them together with your hand. And then once you mix it up, then you can put in a jar, and then every day you can put 2 or 3 spoons, make one little charcoal, on your deck, and then just put that on top of that and sprinkle of water. Say Ram, Yam, Kam, Ah, Hung, that mantra. Ram, Yam, Kam, Ah, Hung. Sprinkle of water. Then it purifies that. And then don't think it's a small hibachi. Then instantly you, first of all, bring bodhicitta. You're making the offering to the 4 guests. The 4 guests, the supreme guests is Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Second guest is all the protectors of the Dharma. Third guest is beings of the 6th realm. Fourth guest is your karmic deaths and spirit in that area. Dead spirit, living spirit, all kinds, those who are interfering in your life, causing crazy obscurations of all kind, nightmares and depression of all kind, so that each one of them gets whatever they aspire, the 5 pleasurable objects. They're also not just a small one, but as big as the universe. So when the smoke comes out of the smoke, through the blessing of that, they transform into 5 nectar, into nectar, like wisdom nectar. And then each one of them receive what they can. Now, of course, if you have put a little amrita, dutsi, can be very powerful. If not, you can just simply do with that. And then you can put some juniper, cedar, some kind of like sandalwood, like that. But no pots, no hashish, no. Even it's legal, but you can't. It's not part of that ingredient. But sandalwoods and incense of some kind. And then clean place. And then you offer, including the local spirit. Local spirit is very interesting. Each area has a spirit who rules that area. Like Denver has its own local spirit. Boulder has its own local spirit. If that local spirit who kind of controls that area, if that spirit is not happy with you, it can cause a lot of problem for you usually, in your sleep, in your work, in your livelihood. So it's important that like they are like the ruler of that place. Like if you go to, if you're in Colorado, you have to follow the rules of the state of the Colorado. There's a federal government and a state government. You go to the state government, it's like the local spirit. So if that spirit is somehow not happy, it can create lots of havoc to the place. Untimely rain, tornadoes, all those things. Many, many strange phenomena they have the power to create as a displeasure of their how they are. So when with compassion they offered, their mind turns into bodhicitta, and then they let peace. and they do their support instead of harming their place. So this practice is very, very effective to bring balance in environment, to bring well-being in a spiritual practitioner, in his or her family. So this very, very special practice, he showed in Dujum Rinpoche, one of the greatest Dzogchen master, even he would do Riwo Sang Chod. He said, it's very simple but very powerful. It covers such a wide range of areas. Unlike you have to do many elaborate practice for one kind, but this is very simple, you can do anywhere you travel. If you're in a mountain, you just light an incense, go top of the mountain, sprinkle water, and do the Riwo Sang Chod on top of the mountain. It clears, purifies the whole area. Very beneficial to everyone, not just for you, but the whole land, for everyone. But this kind of practice is hard to do in America generally. To do a really big one, I tell you, a few years ago, like 5-6 years ago, in Ladakh, where Chhoje Rinpoche monastery was, there was, from the other side, from Tibet, from the border, Chinese-controlled Tibet, came locust attack. Everywhere there was like billions of locusts. Locusts, how they live. And when people drive cars, the whole road is red. They all get killed. It's just like, so then the Indian government, the local Indian government said they are going to send the people with spray to kill. I don't think, first of all, how much they can kill. The whole land is just like sweeping. They're eating grass, they're eating fields, they're eating harvest. Even where they eat, where they pee, things doesn't grow well. It's some kind of acidity in there, So lots of, it went for like 2 years, and it's keep coming, Then Rinpoche said, it's better not to kill, because killing is not good, according to Buddhist teaching, it's not good. And Rinpoche said, this is all karmic debt. Chhoje Rinpoche, this is a karmic debt. So we need to, we need to do a practice which will overcome that karmic debt, and then perhaps that can be healed. So then Rinpoche did a Riwo Sang Chod practice. There were like few hundred nuns, altogether 400 or 500 people, the whole community, the village, town, everyone got together. He did, I think, 70 million Riwo Sang Chod mantra. The mantra is Om Mahu Om Mahu. So, everyone bought food. It was tons of things, on the fires with the smoke. And after they practice, all the locusts kind of become they scramble together like a ball. So many of them and then left to Tibet on the other side. It was like magical. So Rinpoche, this is karmic debt. They coming and eating your field, whatever karma one has from the karma for the land, karmic debt of the land and people. So instead of killing, Rinpoche did this practice because you do a little Riwo Sang Chod for the whole land. There's so many karmic debt, you cannot fulfill that. You need to do amount according to, if you're doing for a country, you got to do according for a country. You do one little instance, it's not going to heal the whole Denver, So therefore, but if everyone can get together, do a major Riwo Sang Chod, it can be very beneficial. But those days, even last time when we did here, Jim was confronted by one neighbor here saying, what are you doing? What are you burning? He said, are you burning pig? The guy said, I said, no. And then, he said, we just, making food offering. It's just like that. Then afterwards, he came back and he said, if you're not going to, if you're going to continue, I'm going to call the police. And Jim said, yes, you can go ahead, but we got permission from the fire department that day we took for the so you can go ahead, you have the right to go and call, but we got, then he just said, okay, doesn't matter. He left. But so you see, it's so hard to do some of this practice in America because people don't know how to do this thing, but they are very beneficial. So in your own case, when you go back to your home, either you can make that food, as I explained, or you can buy a Riwo Sang Chod incense stick. You don't have to offer the whole thing. You can cut it, just light it, and then sprinkle a water, making a clean bowl filled with rice. Otherwise, always danger of fire in America. Because most of the houses in America built of wood. It's wooden house. Like in India, they're all made of bricks and stone kind of. Here it's all wood. So if you leave an incense, it can really burn your whole house. You have to be extra careful when you deal with the incense and candles. So therefore, I would suggest buy, if you're in some kind of rice in a clean bowl, and then use just for that purpose. Not that bowl shouldn't be eating food where you put meat and garlic and all those ingredients. We shouldn't go there. It should be just one simple bowl filled with rice, and then put the incense on the top, and then do. So when you do, you should visualize 5 pleasurable objects according to the aspiration of the different guests. The guests of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, the guest of the Dhammapalas, guest of the beings with 6 realms, each one have a different aspiration, what meant pleasurable objects for them, the food and all kinds, and then to the spirit, those who are harming your life, stealing your life force, making you go crazy, all kinds. In fact, there's one particular practice which is very beneficial if you get mentally disturbed. You see, we have lots of karmic debts from many lifetimes. We have killed people, we have beaten people, we have harmed people, not in this life necessarily, but from many other lifetimes. So therefore, we experience those karma consequences. And sometimes those who we have harmed them are like born in spirit, and then they try to create all kinds of mental depression and unhappiness, no for sleeping, everything going kind of crazy, chaos in your life. There's one particular practice, a skillful practice, that which you can do in the evening time, because evening time is when all the spirit roams around. Evening time people feel afraid also going in the dark in a cemetery. If you go in a cemetery during the daytime, you feel all right, there's light and I can see people around. But you go alone at night, 2 o'clock in the morning in a cemetery, it gets spooky all around, Maybe something will show up here, or someone is trying to grab me from here, all kinds of ghostly experience. So in the evening, when when there's that level of sense of fear, of spirit and all things, which that's the time when they go around, then it's very beneficial to do Red Sur practice. There's one particular other Red Sur. And it can be very beneficial, healing on the spot you can experience. And of course, one thing, the best is to invite a Lama. If you have done a lot of retreat, then you can do yourself. And even you haven't done retreat, if you do, it will be beneficial. But if there's a very serious person on patient who cannot fall asleep, who is disturbed at night, depression, and scary like that, then one is to go on the 4 sides of the house. There's a particular practice called 8 spirit practice, and throw on each side of the house, dispelling all negative force on each side. And then do a Red Sur practice by you get some mince meat. This is different than this practice. I'm just telling what kinds of practice are there. And then you get a mince meat, and then you mix with the barley flour, and then you put it together with your hand, rub it here on your hand. That's to show that meat is like your flesh, sort of, your karmic debt, that which you have flesh, those who looking for your own flesh. So out of compassion, like you visualize that's part of you, and then you put on fire. You make a little charcoal, very simple, and then you visualize, you substitute them, your karmic debt, and those harmful spirit, or basically you transform that, visualize that it transform into nectar, and then all the guests receive that, and then after that, if you have, now of course some of you may not know Lainada Dakini. Lainada Dakini practice is an averting practice. Then you do that, and then you do an averting practice, or at the end of Riwo Sang Chod there is averting, like that. When you clap hands, according to the Tibetan tradition, is to dispel all negative. So, the Lama was joking one time when after his teaching, people were clapping hands. He said, now they're averting in Tibetan. He didn't say to everyone. He was joking. Of course, in the West, it's the expression of, it's good, But in Tibetan tradition, it's considered when you want to dispel a negative force, then you do that. You don't clap hands. So then you can dispel that, avert that with clapping hand. Clapping hand, basically, one visualize sun and moon disk and the negative forces in between, and then clap it, like distinguish in the middle. There are different visualization to do that. So then right after that, then at night, that patient will go to sleep easy. All those distress will go away very quickly in the next few days. One can see that, and I've performed this kind of practice for other people and been very beneficial for people. And someday, if you want to hire me to do that, you can hire me. Just kidding. I will do it for you if you want me to. So anyway, so they're like that. So now in this case, that you need to insert the red sur in between. So today I'm just going to give the transmission, the white sur, which is the mountain purification offering. And so now the visualization should be like, infinite, not just small, meaning infinite offering of nectar to the 4 guests. And then you should pray for the land, pray for everyone. Always bring in your prayer all beings. No matter what you do, really train yourself to think of for the benefit of all beings. Once you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, you will then really bodhicitta will arise, and it will set you in a good habit. We always have the problem of just thinking of oneself, never including other beings. That is our problem. That's why we're in samsara. If we have to get out of samsara, we need to bring genuine good heart for the benefit of the land, of the country, of the people, and in general, the whole world, how they can get benefit, they can get happiness, and we should dedicate the merit at the end for the happiness and enlightenment of all beings. Those are really very important. Then your merit increases into 10,000-fold, rather than you just do just for yourself. Yes, there will be benefit, but it will be small benefit. When you include everyone, that merit multiplies into thousands of times. So therefore, bodhicitta mind again plays a very important role, no matter which practice you do, including the fire practice. So now I will give a transmission. Oma hung kanyam siji je wunyam buju wanda de zipe madun ze kyugo na zi yewe je go so dugun sile je gyab so che sanjo je uze de le je dugun de zun na ku dang zo du ge de le nu na ji nga juno bongo de war sim ge to shire ma ji nyu ma shi ze je de da de be se je ba be kurba ni de nyim yu de sha lo de shi de chim bu je ra lo de zo ba chim bu ju kurba de ne de bo so de ku zu mi de de ba ta ra ngo dum le Kata chugu yingne game se pema tuten karma shunzu ze tsimpe ze puru doje tepa nam zeji genda chaji yonsu zo tami nime ge gundu bezo kode kungi chibe shimbu jiro umang beze gore pema sidung umang beze gore pema sidung Tene sangze nam ramyam kam ki sangjang. Tongbe ngang le sangze zapam me pe ishi gu zi du yin ge zu jimbung. Kajab du zho wara yuru du sum da nam ka zu nga len sum su ki chin la pa. Drum ri jana zo mame no yang su jitin sebe du go tam zi zi du sum mi shi du zi jina pe na zi chi pe du. Chikwa de lama yidam jaga shi da shi yi we king gur jing da zam ni ji da tu du ni ji du kebar da ga se ro su mu shi. Ne tong par che sumbe jombo da minum ta sing na ting re dige ma chu da bo da se da na da no ke le je je da ni de ko ji mu je de ra no se ne mo na le jam ro me la ji de se ra na yi la ko du go je ra chi se no ne ge pri de be yin de se pa da go de zum sa be de da ko je de je ko lo je ba nam ji se me ji de da ji je me je no se ka me de re ko da je be de me se ba ji be ji ne mi je je ngai chu jin ze ru na me ne se ki bi be kom sung ko ra ji re go de ko je ni bu sa ye shu o ma hu Kusumda banu ki so chuno rizano zizubana, zijibejo, bananga kurwani da zame zijiyo, tomete na tayi. No zirno de jiba yonango, saram de bayin da taji, takum jube parje kunzene, mijo kuza togi kayin so shino. Pum kura, tinzizin parjo kura yezo shimbo to metara. Ami pe ma da wara sangi jo pungo zizeto da zijibara, karma chizise, bara tuni jise jo. Nozi kote teji nga je lungru zozon jebe se zebe, ngunga lenja tamje jengu je, tata gyula mene tolo sha, maung de pe kodo. So tar jinsa rikwa zimba ye, tamje laba sanga tamze re, so da maso nyingba tolo sha, nito nita me sa ta yu che, nemo sunji karba shigyu che. Nemo sunji karba shigyu che, tami usu ungwe, suma to, shuse lama de lepa zito, peyo temi shibe tengi to. Peyo temi shibe tengi to, salo yibu so de. Jikpa shimbo je na churu to, daja kane, temi shiba to, tamzi gungbo to, nuyo pa to. Ge jalung she dang da kulu sisum gyume du gu nasi gyun de long nu ta baram jum dang ke be la mu ji su ji yu nam se kyun ling shi tu zel da le ji tine gu na wang gi we sa we gu jum ji sun je bung ze be chin ze bu lo de ji ji nam ke no yang tu sum de we kyun de yun je bung pun zu nu bu de tu be zu ni se par yu a gu ma ji de le ge bu ke la bu ki me nga le ke we rang ji chu nam de ne nyumbe nganjamsu pensu susuru zinam machigyang mata nongsu yime rubale tarisi shungusa nyekbe dung drapung jumbe sunja ridrapung drale gebo bawa ngarke chin kamsu yule gebe pangdo to chachen lamchen chudang samba chudar teni zinyin chawo chung mene shila dube sewa sung shinamangdo dube tine zu ge jalu ke jelu de chugu yara de nga ma ga je ti le ya no si we se khachu yin ni ko jelu phowa chim mo du guru be yu pa wo da ge le ku yu tum je sa da la mo ga chu du ngu du chi sam yang gu chi se dang so pa ju ge be ngu du si ji du gu pong be yara de ge de je tu shu nu la so ga bu nu chi sam du gu yang gu chi pun so pa ju ngu du tum je su yang chen ta shi da da chema dang Sibela jingibe chuzebu puni nujin chinge no yanku dani sume de mengudu su parna December wa puni da kecho do je lepe samdu yisho de la tashi pepatam karbo tam je tarbe chine su shibele de jangsen de namki nedun di rishi be chine su gebele de rinchen rinam ki sedang sunam gebe ngudu su wangile ze pe mere namki komso wondu de ngudu 잡을 이제 레게르는 게 자기 사주 뇌병으로 선대 물을 좀 우줍즈 계획체변이 이제 컴숨 담제 투담 거 이제 리투 더 바슨 이제 렌차 샤고 이제 손이 용수도 이제 미 바자도 이제 담바꾸니 또 비로지 진바 계신 게 바디 두두에 두두로 이제 우게 개원은 게 뭐. 기회서는 집에도 이제 중고 건너 되는 거 싸움 못 해보나. 기분은 땀제도 따도 좀 니다서 쇼를 줘버 쇼 기와디 기고 손음이시서 손음이시로 타바쿠니 또 보시 배던서 보면 그 이신을 보고 심제를 보고 봐 삼바 드베 타시 쇼. So in this usually if you look at the text here page 120 page 12 page 12 that's where it ends. And so today in this text, they have also included, there is the, for the warrior deity, there's one thing for a warrior deity. And then the next one on the page 16 is called the for summoning prosperity. I also given you a transmission on this too. What that is, like we all have, some called guardian deity. That's mostly usually the warrior deity. Means if there is particular each person has a guardian deity, so to speak, which acts to protect you. When that protector is obscured or its energy is low, then you also downfall. So therefore, increasing that warrior deity strong, then when you talk with other people, if you have like debate, if you have case problem, for example, whatever, then you have higher chance of, if your deity, warrior deity is strong, then your protection gets strong. If your warrior deity is less, your wind horse, chi, energy goes down. So when you raise this warrior deity, your chi and energy goes up, then whatever you do, you will accomplish that in the world. So therefore, you don't have to do this all the time, but if you like to do, when you do that, it's very beneficial for you because your whole energy, your strength and power will go up. Then whatever you deal with in life, you will accomplish the deal. So that's one thing. Then the other one on page 16, this is very special. It's called summoning prosperity. Sometimes due to some, in your life, you may experience things going down for you, things not going the way you want to happen, whether it's your health, prosperity, business, whatever, things not going well the way you want it to happen. At that time, your energy is kind of dispersed, your prosperity, your essence, like your life force, your wealth, and many things get dispersed, either stolen by some forces, unknown invisible forces, or they're like dispersed. Things are not happening well for you. There's no harmony. You don't want to stay in your home. If you stay in your home, you want to go out. If you go out, you want to come in. Like never the mind is settled. Never things going well for you. At that time, what happened? Your strength, vitalities, many things have been dispersed, including your life force. So then at that time, you want to bring it back. Remember that when Chhoje Rinpoche was here, I was holding the arrow and holding the plate with the barley. So all you have to do is you can get a barley, and then on a small plate, it should be unbroken plate, nice plate, and then fill up a barley, and put a little butter on the top of it. That's it, no particular design, just put a butter. Then you hold that butter on your left hand. Then you recite this. Or you don't have to hold the butter. You can on a usual basis. If you're doing particular something, then you can hold this. The best is to have it hold in your family if you have granddaughters and grandsons, someone who is both father and mother alive. Both father and mother alive. That child holds that and goes around the house, with the arrow, with the 5 colors. You can either get some 5-color ribbons or 5-color silk, whatever. You can make that like that. And then spinning like this, clockwise. What is this? Clockwise? Clockwise. So first, and when you have to visualize wherever the forces, whichever forces has stolen your wealth, power, essence, are all brought back to you, to your house. If you're doing house blessing, your house, bringing all the essence of the universe, the powers of the gods, the power of the demigods, the power of the humans, the power of the nagas, all the positive energy, wealth, life force, all brought and either put into you or to this place, and that can bring whatever dispersed and things fragmented. It will all put together and heal that. It's very powerful practice. And either you can do it yourself, or if you have on a special day, let's say you're doing some special ceremony for your home, you can have, have that baby like child, it cannot be a little baby, but 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, dressed up in a nice cloth, not like torn clothes. It's very important. These days fashion is torn jeans, not like that, but something complete course, and then going around your house or going around the whole building around their child, just doing like that. And you can do the visualization. Of course, child wouldn't know visualization, but that's how you can perform that. Or you can do by yourself, on an auspicious day in the morning. It should be done in the morning. Morning is increasing time. Afternoon is decreasing time. Morning is sunshine time. Afternoon, later evening is sunset time. So you want to do this when things are rising up, not when things are going down. Like sunset time is going down, so you don't want to do this kind of practice, increasing practice in the sunset time. Rather, you want to do that in the morning time. If you break down the 4 activities, peaceful, increasing, magnetizing, and wrathful, these 4 activities, if you follow on a time base, any like purification practice, first thing in the morning when we get up, we take showers, we wash ourselves. It's like purification time. Same thing when you do purification, particular practice, they're done in the morning, like sang practice, purification practice done first thing in the morning. And then increasing, like bringing the wealth, power, essence, life force, to bring harmony, auspicious quality, increasing time, that's the morning time. Then afternoon, like from 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, if you do like magnetizing practice, that's the time, like how it happens. And then at night time, that is where ritual practice are done. Like when they say covert operation, they go at night. They don't send in the morning when the sun shines. Even in the military practice, you see, that's how the world things works in that nature. So likewise, so increasing time, that's in the morning before 12 and 1. That's where these practice should be done on an auspicious time. If you have I don't know in the Western calendar, I don't think there is, but according to the Tibetan astrology calendar, you can easily get, there is everyday element. There's some day, for example, water, earth element. Water, and each description is there very clearly. If it's water and earth, then they're complement. If water and fire are not complement. If that day element, if it's water and earth, whatever you do will achieve doing it the right time. But if you do it something on a water and fire, they are enemies. Water and fire is enemy. It's not good. And then fire and fire, also good. Water and water, also good. Fire and wind complement. If there's wind and fire, the fire will get bigger, complement. But if there's a water on top of the fire, it will kill that fire. So those elements, if you really want to look which day to perform ceremony to bring all the positive quality, one has to deal with interdependent phenomena because they really happens on the day, on those chart. So this is really going now one step further, more detailed, So, but that's what you want to do. If you do want to do a house ceremony, how many times are you going to do a house ceremony? Only once in a while. So you have to do that on that right day, not on a bad day when the elements are bad and there's some dark days. There's some, once a month, I think there's a black day and a dark day, and then some other, negative energy days. You don't want to do those things. So you have to perform, on the right day. For example, operations. If you ever do operation, you should never do on a full moon, you see, physical operation. And the last day, what you call new moon, or when there is no moon, that day should never done. Because each day, there's a, love means your life force. Life force shifts every day. Someday it's on your head, someday it's on your mouth, someday it's on your nose, someday it's on your tongue, someday it's on your body. On full moon, And then on the new moon, it's covered everywhere. So if you do surgery, cutting your body on that day is very bad. The surgery will never go well. It will be disastrous. So therefore, you should avoid those days when you do surgery on a full moon and like that. These are interdependent, how it affects. It affects us. Just because we don't know, it doesn't say, ignorance is bliss. I don't think ignorance is bliss in this case. It gives the effect to you, unsuccessful, and how many times you're going to do operation? Only when you need it, maybe once or twice in life. So you should choose those days very carefully, which day is good. For example, I did surgery. I took my, gallbladder, and when I did that, Chhoje Rinpoche was there, very kind, and we did it in very easy. I was out of the hospital in 2 days, and even today, if I eat oily food, even though I don't have gallbladder, but I'm very, feel lucky that I can go to India and eat Indian curries without worrying about oily food. Of course, I have to wash my diabetic, So anyway, so like that. So it's important when you do house ceremony, when you set out going to a trip, to a long distance, you should look at the timing. Otherwise, not very good things can happen. There was an Australian man many years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I know him. And I was studying in Nepal, and one day this man, I was in Bodha, and the distance between Bodha and Kathmandu is, nobody comes on a rickshaw. It's far. And I saw this Caucasian man dressed in a tie. I was in my early 20s, and he's coming on a rickshaw. The rickshaw guy bought him, and he said, "I want to meet Chhoje Rinpoche." I said, "Yes, that's me." And he was introduced to me by another friend of mine, Australian. And so he came, and it's very interesting, man. I don't want to go through the whole story. But then Chhoje Rinpoche was there. I introduced to him. And after a few years, he came to visit Chhoje Rinpoche. But he left Australia. He has so much mental problem. He needs to take a lot of sleeping pill, And so those were not good. Anyway, one time he left on the day we call Yenkong Day, which is the worst day. And anything if you do that day usually never goes well. You can look in the calendar. You should check this thing, how it works on those days and what happens if you do on a bad day. So he came on a bad day, and then when he got into Kathmandu, he was staying in a motel, and he overdosed himself, and he's dead. And later we found out he started the travel on a bad day. And of course there could be other factors, but one of the factors, which contributing factor was starting something on a bad day. So things like that. I've noticed same thing here. Some famous people done surgery on those bad days, never went successful. I've seen business people who have meeting several times with their lawyers, starting on those bad days, never really accomplish. I've just been observing and studying, knowing people who started on which day. And so therefore, it is good to pay some attention when you move houses, when you stay in a new place, when you go to a retreat also, like starting. You should choose a good elemental and favorable day, then it will go well for you. So that is the thing. I just want to tell you that. So then, this is how you can add those practice, or you don't need to add those practice in your daily practice. You don't have to recite that's only once in a while you can do. A same thing with the warrior practice you can do if you feel like really low energy, if nobody's listening to you. For example, Nobody pays attention to you. Nobody listens to you. Everything, the same person, what you said before, now is totally different. At that time, your whole energy is going down. So this practice will increase all those amazing benefit of Riwo Sang Chod benefit. If you do it, you will know yourself what changes it can bring into your life. Okay? Thank you. So then, I would like mainly request all of you to do meditation. Main practice is the Dharma is to find liberation. And of course, this is secondary practice, how to support your well-being. But main practice is bodhicitta. That is the most crucial. And how to, discover your awareness through your practice of meditation. And to do that, you need devotion, compassion, intelligence to the Dharma. And then it will speak by itself. I don't need to speak to you about it. It will speak by itself. And then Lama Yunten will come in and he will give the teaching on the trauma. I'm going to Asia for some time, and I will be very quickly come back also. I always tell Genevieve, when people ask me when I'm coming, I will coming tomorrow. Just joking. Well, I'm going to, for not long time, a short time, I have to go to my monastery. We have about 50 lamas there, and and then there is I have to give some teaching to the local people in Darjeeling and then in Ladakh. Ladakh is nomadic areas. That's where so many nomadic people were devotees of my previous life. It's like going back to the 16th century, like yaks and horses and sheep and living in tents like that. So I'm also a nomadic Lama. My life is like a nomadic, in fact, I feel always. So I'm just going to be there for a little short time and do some practice and go to the monastery. And then in the meantime, I program the trauma practice, which is, I requested Rinpoche to give that empowerment. And normally these empowerments are not given, as I said, but here we have one of the greatest masters coming. And I've seen so many of you got benefit, life-changing experience. And I didn't want that for you to miss. Really, the times are so, today is so Kali Yuga. The world is not in a good place. And we are getting older day by day. That means our life is getting shorter day by day. So we need to find something profound that we can practice in this life, and never to, the supreme is to get out of samsara. At least, the least one is to get a better rebirth. But the main thing is to get realization. That's really what the Buddha Dharma has to offer, has profound teaching on that. And I'd like to request all of you to really bring your bodhicitta mind, bring your practice into action all the time, whether you're sitting or whether you're not sitting, and then your life will become wholesome. You will see the benefit. Dharma is in your heart. As I said today, even the teacher finally leads to non-dual teacher. That shows Dharma is you. You are the Dharma. You are that Buddha. So that's what the role of the relative Lama is, lead you to that Buddha, who you are, that Buddha. So therefore, but if you don't practice, it will never happen. It will never reveal to you. So therefore, please practice. Practice is not difficult. Mindfulness. All you need is mindfulness. If you have mindfulness, practice is there. If you don't have mindfulness, then practice is not there. It's just a question of mind. That's what it meant. And then Riwo Sang Chod practice you can do support for your livelihood, favorable conditions. And that's become again very important in our life, because we have a physical body made of flesh and bone. It can get sick, it can have problems, all kinds. So in order to overcome those obstacles, those are the methods how to do. Yeah, and then thank you, and I will hold you all in wherever I go. Every day I pray for all of you. I do world peace prayer. Then particularly to all my students, their well-being, happiness, wherever I go, and we should all do prayer for every being. Thank you very much. Yeah, and to please do good practice, and I will meet you all soon. Yeah, thank you. We have to world peace prayer. Let's do all world peace prayer together. You want to say something?
Just a couple of things. And until you come back from Chhoje, we will all do good practice so that our minds are right for your teachings.
Thank you.
Thank you so
You
much
see,
for
when that is, yes, one is ripe for the teaching. Other is when you get ripe, the teaching comes by itself. That's the other thing. You know, of course, we have to seek the teaching. But when you practice, they get revealed in your own mind. That's how then when you talk with the Lama, it enhances more, how that experience is. So it's not that you have to, of course, teachers there to give teaching, but many practice, when you sit, it's revealed to you because it's in your mind. Then, of course, one has to work with the teacher, make sure that one is not going the wrong path, So that's what it is. So you all have Buddha mind, you have enlightened mind, and it's wonderful that we can do Dharma, we can really all engage, into something so meaningful in our life. Not just we're living for just sake of food. So many people in the world living for the sake of just wearing a cloth and eating food. Even animals know how to do. It's just a question they don't get served on a plate, but it's there. So we human beings with higher intelligence, we have to make it something better that can benefit entire beings, not only humans but everyone. So therefore, we should not waste time. Life is precious. Every moment is precious. Every day is precious. We have to make the most meaningful in this precious lifetime. Otherwise, I really feel that, look at the world situation. Even you come back as a human being in your next life, you won't have the same freedom and opportunity what you experience today. We don't experience the freedom but 20 years ago. Today, things are much more harder. And imagine 20 years from today, how the world will be. I don't think so much better. So therefore, now is the golden time. As much as we can complain about life, this problem and that, but we have a lot of freedom. Amazing. And to be born in America, this karma of America collectively, is amazing karma right now. Freedom, equality, really amazing. That's what Dharma is about. So now you go to deeper, find further deeper, enhance that, find deeper level of true liberation, rather than just surviving for the sake of clothes and shelter and food. There's much deeper to awaken than just this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just touch a little bit on Rinpoche was talking about Mom and John coming to teach. There's schedules out front that you can take with you. He'll be teaching on the Riwo Sang Chod practice that Rinpoche talked about today. We'll go through some more of the details on how to do the practice.
Yes.
When he's here. So there's a schedule for, there's 3 sessions, he'll do 3 or 4. So there's a schedule out front you can get for that. And it's not on our website just yet, but I'll put that up within the next couple of days so you can check the website too. And he'll also be teaching, like Rinpoche said, on trauma. So there's a schedule for that on the website and out front. And he'll also be doing a couple of other teachings, changed a little bit. We'll do the shower blessing soak a couple of times when John is here as well, so on the Guru Rinpoche days. And then Rinpoche was talking about the calendar. I just want to mention the calendar. We actually you can buy the calendar. It's just $5. We have it in the bookstore. So if you have any interest in getting that calendar that has the elements on it, then you can get that here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's do world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even their names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rises. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscient. Thank you. So please take good care of yourself, your health. Two most important, body and mind. Then if you have good body, and healthy mind, then easy to get enlightened. If you are physically not well, then a lot of problem. And of course, if you never do practice, your mind will always be afflicted, because that's the habit we are living in. You can never come out of that if you don't do it. But if you with mindfulness, you can turn it around, transform it. Thank you.